so-called flying saucers.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the SA. It's rotating.
Welcome to Kill the Stigma. So today we're going to talk about a very controversial topic called Milabs, which is military abductions. But why we're talking about it is because Lue Elizondo got asked about it on an interview that dropped yesterday. And Lue Elizondo, for those of you who don't know, is somebody who testified under oath about how serious the UAP topic is. He said a lot of things that were retrieving this technology and reverse engineering it. He said there's a cover-up, that crimes have been committed, and pointed at very elite members of the CIA. And David Grush, who is also somebody who would brief the president daily, very high up in the intelligence community with a clearance to see all, just like Lue Elizondo, who had a clearance to see all SAPs. He was the director of SAPs in the executive branch, I believe. That was his real deal. That's what he said in Congress under oath. So we have to take these claims seriously. And he got asked about Milabs. And what he said was surprising. And, well, let me play this for you. I'll show you what he says first. Then I'll give you what I think.
We know that the United States has recovered some of these craft, and that there have been efforts to understand the technology and back engineer them. There have also been some claims that, certain abduction events or sightings have been perpetrated by the United States military and not by, the whatever extraterrestrials or other beings. What are your thoughts on that? Is there any potential truth to that?
Wow. I'm probably not ready to go there yet. Let me share this with you. Any government who conducts experiments on its people without their knowledge and without their permission is the enemy. And now let me be very clear with that. Any government, and by the way, we have done that in the past as a government. My country here has done that. We had things like the MK Ultra experiments where we provided LSD unknowingly to people, and some of them actually died as a result, going into a psychotic state. The Tuskegee experiments where we allowed the people, namely African Americans, to suffer from syphilis to its natural end, which is death. We allowed that to happen. We actually, even though we had a cure for it, we allowed these fellow Americans to die simply in the name of science. That is repulsive. It is repugnant. And that is, dare I say, when governments do that, they need to be fearful of something much greater. Because if once the people find out, it's like being stuck in a telephone booth with a sleeping gorilla. That gorilla's sleeping, but make no mistake, when the people find out, and i.e. in this analogy, the people are the gorilla, they will rip you apart. They will. This only works, this idea of democracy in our government, because people have faith and confidence in its institutions. The moment that the government deceives and betrays the American trust, then it's got a very significant issue on its hand, because if people know how to deal with that, and there's a history of human beings dealing with situations like that. And so it terrifies me. I don't want to ever think my government could or would do that to other human beings, but we have in the past. So we can't discount it entirely. I like to think that there's no one that I know in the government that would ever do that. I certainly would never do that. It's anti-American. It's anti-democracy, and I would never, if I was even privy to something like that, I wouldn't tolerate it. If you think I'm being loud now by blowing the whistle on UAPs, you just wait if it turns out that our government has been doing that to other people. Now, with that said, I can't entirely discount it, and there's reasons for that, which at some point I may be prepared to address. Um, I there's information that is forthcoming, I think, in the not too distant future that may substantiate that maybe there were elements in our government that were doing things that were were not very ethical. And one thing is to experiment on a human being if they allow it and they volunteer for it. But if you do it with people unsuspecting or worse with children, then I've got a significant issue with that. If you look at Army regulations, even on the Army side of the Department of Defense, we have procedures for doing intelligence work, and one of those is what they call questionable intelligence activities involving human experimentation as procedure 13 violation. And there's prohibitions for doing that. You can't do it because why? Well, in the past we did. And we got caught and we got in trouble for it, right? When I say we, not me, I wasn't part of those, but organizations that I belonged to in the past, they did those type of things. And so Congress passed laws saying you can't do this anymore. My hope is that that's the case, that no one is coloring outside the lines and doing some sort of human experimentation. Again, I know I'm not answering your question directly because you're talking about, the term psionics and CE5 and all these other terms, people, words du jour, names du jour that we give to things that people are trying to do. But, the government has a long history of doing things and being involved in this topic, particularly UAP. And I wouldn't be overly surprised if in the future we learn that, yeah, maybe we were involved in doing some things that were ethically not very good. I might be able to talk more about that.
So this is interesting. This article came out about a mysterious program, and it was about this guy who didn't remember serving in the Air Force, but his dad gave him some documents, basically, about this whole secret program he was in as a child. And Lue Elizondo just mentioned children. And then you go into other stories. Jack Safari came, they came in the 50s. He has his Men in Black moment when they went to him. The book that I keep talking about, Secret Machines and Chasing Shadows and A Fire Within, all points to the Air Force and that the Air Force is secretly involved in some weird stuff with NHI or whatever. And this guy talks also about Havana syndromes, but how he was able to recover from it and get certain gifts and abilities like remote viewing and psychic powers. And by the way, I've made the whole thing about Havana syndrome. It was nobody liked it. I think it's a very important topic if people had any idea what was going on. Oh my God. Anyway, shut up. But anyway, sorry. So anyway, this guy doesn't remember, but his past, and he was working for some mysterious Air Force program, and that's also what this book. So Lue Elizondo is talking about that, and then he tweets in 2023. I know this is a fact. He says that. Okay, he tweets about it. Children. Jake Barber. Okay, Jake Barber as a kid was in this program. He says they took him or whatever, and then he would be guaranteed, a career. I'll stop with Secret Machines. I'll stop. But the whole second one is how Barry and Alan, the pilots from Area 51, were kind of, since it was all a plan since the beginning. So what the heck is going on? Can we affect time and space? Is time travel possible? Are they CIA wizards out there? Is there a breakaway civilization? Is it? I don't know. I don't know. And I know I sound crazy. And the best part is, I don't care. Shout out to my 181 subscribers. That must suck. Must suck so bad having 1 million subscribers and your voice being so important and so much responsibility. Not jealous of that. I can be myself. But anyway, so look, Lue tweeted about it. So he did say that this is happening. And the thing is, what's cool about that story, which that book hasn't come out to my knowledge, is that guy was suffering from Havana syndrome. He was an intelligence officer. He was screwed, but then he didn't give up. And then became a freaking Jedi, baby. Freaking Jedi. How you like me now? There's the Lue tweet. I'll stop being silly. Okay, so Milabs. What the heck is going on? Who is in charge of these decisions? Taking people, children? What is going on? It's frustrating, and I know how absurd it sounds, and that's what pisses me off the most. That this could be going on, probably is. Well. Sorry. And it sounds so absurd and ridiculous that's like, yeah, no, I don't think that's going on. No way. So it makes me a little bit upset, especially when you talk about kids and stuff. I don't know. So I think we need to find out who's in charge of this and why. Is it because they are bad people and in power, or is it because this is so important? Who knows, man? Who knows? Either way, dealing with this whatever NHI or I don't know is so important. Or maybe we need to keep all possibilities in the. We don't know what the hell we're dealing with, but we do know that there's some people lost control and are using some sort of alien tech to God knows what, time travel, go back in the past, to be the Men in Black kind of thing, like that's why they can get there so quick and I don't know. I'm jumping maybe some conclusions here, but it's creepy and scary to think that unelected officials or maybe one or two people in government, super tight, the watch committee from the Wilson Davis memo. You guys remember that? The 5-star admiral finds out about this program and he gets intimidated. They should have been begging him due to that guy's position of 5-star admiral. Sorry, sir. Please, sir. Don't fire me. Don't fire me, sir. I'll do anything, sir. I'll do anything. I'm serious. They should have been begging for forgiveness. And they're like, no. Nope. That's not what's going to happen. In fact, lose 1 star. You better shut up. Or you're going to. And the guy was spooked. Went to complain to the executive branch, and they're like, nope. So this is the most serious, powerful people we're talking about, and they have alien tech and the implications of that alien tech. I don't know, but I do hope that guy, that's speaking for the White House, by the way, that was talking about we have technologies that can bend space and time. I did an episode on that yesterday briefly. I do hope that becomes more public because that has to get out there and it has to be more than just a few gatekeepers. There has to be, we need to, I'm sorry, I can't trust you, bro. I can't, it might be a mistake to open it up to more people. Fuck it. I'll make that mistake. I don't care. I don't care. Well, you gotta be careful. You just, what, 12 gatekeepers, do you in the whole world to this? No. Anyway, and who was in and out? of this? Who's controlling this? Who's the hostile witnesses? I don't know. Let's let David Grush tell you this, but he did provide a list, allegedly. They did try blocking every skip with him. Oh man, the things they did to that guy. I'm surprised he's still alive. Probably because he went public and he was such a big deal. God knows how many didn't make it. Anyway, I'll leave it here, but I'm gonna put something from David Grush.
Level of security clearance is required to fully access these programs.
Well, anybody who has...
And I say that because myself, Representative Gates and Representative Luna were basically turned away at one point at Eglin. So please go right ahead.
Certainly difference between member access and, say, somebody like me, but anybody who has a TSSCI clearance and meets the eligibility criteria, the access adjudicative authority should be able to grant you access.
Ms. Burchett, if you'll yield. So just to put a fine point on that, there's nothing that you're aware of that's above special access program classification.
It's a misnomer that there's anything actually above top secret. Executive Order 13526 delineates the classification levels.
Right. But I draw a point on that because we can have access to those programs. And so the notion that we're not being given that access sort of defies our typical muscle memory here in Congress. Thank you, Mr. Burchett. I'll yield back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Gates. Along those lines, Title 10, you may not know this or not, but Title 10 and Title 50 authorization, they seem to say they're inefficient. So who gets to decide this, in your opinion, in the past?
It's a group of career senior executive officials.
Okay, are they government officials?
Both in and out.
Do what?
Both in and out of government, and that's about as far as I can go there. Yeah.
All right, well, that's